answer over and over again. Just that end part, we're going to get a little bit into something, and we're going to, Mirza Hashem, get to the Mishnah, and that's Nen's Ben His Mind. The Cheskor, you could go crazy. Every night you could have a good time. Much what else there's to do in this world. Whatever else anyone, if someone has a good idea, let me know. Yeah. Okay, so Chavdal Mabez by the Mishnah. If somebody made his tree between the trees, what did I say? What did I say? Sorry. And you see it at the end of the week for me. Thank you. He made a sukkah between the trees. And the trees are walls for it. Kshera, the sukkah is kosher. There's no reason why the tree can't be walls for your sukkah. And it's totally fine. Not using it to support yourself. So you can even go in on Yom Tov. Nothing wrong with it. Says the Gemara, Amar Vacha Bar Yaakov, Kol mechitza shen yechel lame baruch mitzuya, eina mechitza. Says the Vacha Bar Yaakov a klal. Any wall that's not able to withstand a typical wind. He does not mean that the wind could topple the sukkah. We spoke about that. He means something else. If the wall is going to shake back and forth with the wind, not break. Nothing about breaking. Just shaky wall, eina mechitza. Does not have a status of a wall, regards to all halachas where mechitza plays a role. The Gemara asks a question. Tanan, look at our Mishnah. Somebody made his sukkah between the trees. And the trees are the walls for it. The sukkah is kosher. It's going back and forth. The tree sways in the wind. How could the tree be a good wall for the sukkah? According to Vacha Bar Yaakov, it's not a mechitza. The Gemara answers, what are we dealing with here? Bikashin. We're talking about hard, stiff trees. These trees aren't going anywhere. The trunks are solid. The Gemara says, what about the branches? I'm sure you're relying on the branches as well for the walls of a sukkah, not just the trunk. And the branches move in the wind. The Gemara answers, you made it. What it means made here means you weaved, using hutza v'dafna, using other types of branches, you weave the branches of the tree together to keep them straight and stiff, and the tree is not moving at all, and therefore, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov would be okay. He's not shver with the Mishnah. We're talking about a solid tree that doesn't move. Ihachi, says the Gemara, if so, remember, what's the chiddush? What are you coming to say in our Mishnah? Why would you not be able to use a tree as a wall for your sukkah? It's totally fine. The Gemara says, you might have thought, Nigzor, we should make a gzera. You might come to use a tree on Yom Tov. Why? Because the mice is right there. It's the walls of your sukkah. Take off your jacket and put it on the tree. And you're not allowed to use a tree because you might come to break a branch. So you might think there's a gzera. Kamash malon, that we do not say this, and therefore you could use a tree as your wall for a sukkah. The Gemara has another challenge against Rav Acha Bar Yaakov. Toshma, come and listen. Hayasham Elon Oygader Oymechitza Sakanim. You made this pasei birois. You made these 4 L-shaped boards around a well to be able to carry from the well into the Rosh Hashanah. And instead, you only had, it was an easy job. You just did 3 because one of them you had a tree or a geder of stone or stone fence, Oymechitza Sakanim, where you had a wall of reeds. So it was actually an easy job for you. Could you use that as one of your 4? The Mishnah says, Nidoy mishum diyaymad. You could judge, you could consider it as a diyaymad, as this double L-shaped board. You could judge it, and it's totally fine to carry using this. The question is, the Elon is moving, it's moving in the wind. How could it be a mechitza? Our answer is Hasanani over there also mishum da'avle b'hutza v'dafna. He made it stiff using hutza and dafna, and the trunks are old and very, very thick. The Gemara has another question of Acha Bar Yaakov. Tashma, come and listen to another Mishnah. Ilona. Okay, this is about carrying on Shabbos. We'll just start again this one. We're going to get a little slower here. Carrying on Shabbos, we know you're not allowed to carry in Rosh Hashanah. You're not allowed to carry, besides for Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, you cannot carry within Rosh Hashanah itself 4 amas. Not allowed to carry. Asur midaraisa. What happened was, you're in this field, and there's a tree with huge branches, 10 tvachim high, and they all droop circular all around the tree. So in a way, it's pretty cool. You're like under this like teepee type of sukkah, and the halacha is it's mechitzas. Now you can carry in this place. So it says Elon hamesach al aretz. You have this tree that's covering over the ground. If the branches are not higher from the ground 3 tvachim, they're within 3 tvachim. for sure if it hit the ground, but even if it's above, using lavid, within 3 tvachim, so then metaltal tachtav, you could carry anywhere underneath it. It's great. It's this whole like little rishus for itself, and you could carry. So, frankly, Gemara, amai haka azava asi, how can you use the tree to use as mechitzas to carry on Shabbos? The tree swaying in the wind. Gemara answers the obvious answer. Hasanami davle behutza v'dafna. So too over there, he used hutza v'dafna to make the tree firm and the branches firm, and therefore they are good mechitzas. Okay, this is where we stopped yesterday. The Gemara asks the question: Ihachi, if so, netaltal bekule. You should be allowed to carry throughout this entire underneath the tree area. Okay, maybe you could. Why are you thinking that you can't? Says the Gemara, Alama Amar Rav Huna Brei Rav Yeshua. Why did Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua, say, Ein metaltal by, you're not allowed to carry, Ein metaltal, you cannot carry in it, Ella, rather only when could you carry? Beis Hasayim. If the area underneath the tree is not more than 2 saws, Beis Hasayim means an area, bias means an area that you could plant 2 saw worth of wheat. 2 saw worth. And this is 5,000 square miles. The way you cheshbon square miles in general is you look at the length of something and you take the width, let's say it's in feet or miles, whatever else it is.
Amos or miles?
Amos, thank you, Amos. I meant to say that. Yeah. You take the length, you take the width, and you times it together, and that's how you know the square footage of a house, of anywhere, anyone construction. You figure out square footage like that. So the halacha is, you could only do this trick of carrying underneath this tree area if it's not more than 5,000 square amos.
Very big tree.
Well, it's a very big tree. I never even heard of such a thing. Now, okay, let's just back it up. What is going on here? What's going on here? So, Hagdama. We know you're not allowed to carry in your Shusarabim. Good. I started off with that. Are you allowed to carry in your Shusayachid? Yeah, no, obviously. You can carry in your Shusayachid, wherever you want. Let's say my house is 10,000 square foot miles long. Great, you can carry in the whole house. Okay? Whatever you want, you can carry in it. So let's say I have this Rishus HaYachid, massive Rishus HaYachid, but it's not a house. It's not meant for a dira. It's a random, storage, or it's a big garden, or like you're a very wealthy guy and you have this like massive outdoor area with mechitzas.
A warehouse?
Warehouse might be the same thing as well. Yeah, if it's massive. Yeah. Now I think if it's roofed, it might be okay. So this is actually roofed as well. No, even roofed. Yeah. The point is, a Rishus HaYachid that's massive, that's not meant for a dira, for you living in, Chazal got a little nervous. Midaraisa is Rishus HaYachid. Chazal got a little nervous, and they said, this looks like a Rishus HaRabim. It's a massive field. There's nothing here. There's no beds. This is not a Rishus HaYachid. It doesn't look like a Rishus HaYachid. So Chazal said, you're not allowed to carry in here. It's like a karmelis. A karmelis is something that's not a Rishus HaRabim. It's not a Rishus HaYachid. It's middle status. Chazal got nervous by some cases and said, you're not allowed to carry here. Midrabanan. Okay, that's the rule. How big? Let's say I have a garden that's tiny. So that's Rishus HaYachid. So the rule is, if it's past Beis Hasayim, it's already too much. Anything within Beis Hasayim is okay. If I would write by Beis Hasayim, 5,000 square amas. Okay? 5,000 square amas, that is your limit. Past that, not. Let's go back to the tree. You have this crazy tree. I never saw such a tree in my entire life. This massive overhanging tree. And we're saying that you're allowed to carry anywhere within it because it's like a Rishus HaYachid. So if it's a Rishus HaYachid, now 1 second. How did the guy make it into a Rishus HaYachid? The tree moves. No, you know what he did was? He took Hutza V'Dafna and he made it much firmer, which means he made this into a dira. It wasn't a naturally formed dira. The guy made it into a regular, he wants to live here in this tree. He wants to live underneath this tree. He actually went ahead and he tied the branches together with Hutza and Dafna. So he's showing that this place is for a dira. Now, it's not your classic dira. I don't know if he's going to put beds there, but maybe he will. He wants to hang out and live underneath this tree. Why would a guy want to live here? I'll tell you why. Because he has fields in the area, and he wants to maintain them, see what's going on. He has workers in the fields. He wants a little hut. He doesn't want to pay for walls. He found this huge tree, and he'll live within this tree. And he put it together, Hutza and Dafna. So the Gemara says, so then you should be allowed to carry the entire area, even if it's past Beis Hasayim. Because this rule, Beis Hasayim, is only an area which is not meant to be lived in. It's a Rishus HaYachid which is just open. It's fenced, but it's not lived in. Here, if you see the guy went and actively did Hutza V'Dafna, it shows he lives there. So just the Chazar now, the Gemara inside one more time. What happened was, the Gemara answered, Hasanami the Avle B'Hutza V'Dafna. He also weaved around this tree to make it firm and a real wall using other branches. I mean, he actively made this into a dira. Ihachi, if so, Natalta B'Kulei. There should be a rule that he could carry anywhere within here because he showed he really wants to use as a dira. Okay, maybe he is. But the Gemara says, Allah Amar Rav Yeshua. Why did Rav Yeshua said, you can only carry up to Beis Hasayim. If the tree would be larger than Beis Hasayim, then not. Why should I have this limit? He did this for a dira. He wants this to be a place to live. That's the Gemara's question.
Who said about this case? Or
Yeah.
in general?
He said in this case. He said on this mission of Ilan Mesach Halaretz, it can't be past Beis Hasayim. But now we're answering the guy did Hutza V'Dafna. It shows it's not like a naturally, like a tree he randomly found. He was very invested in this tree. He set up Hutza V'Dafna everywhere. It's like he wants to hang out here. He wants to be here near his fields where he can look at his fields. He wants to live here. So the Gemara answers, no, I'll tell you why. Mishum, because the Havedira Shetashmishe La'avir. It's a dira Shetashmishe that's being used for aver, for the air. It literally means for the air, but it means for the outside. Why does the guy want to live in this tree? He wants to live underneath this tree to be able to watch his fields. He doesn't care about the tree. He doesn't care about living here. His whole reason is here is to be able to see outside. Why do you live in your house? I live in my house. I need a place to be. I don't live in my house to see outside. I live in my house to be in my house. I have a window I can see outside. I don't live in my house to see outside. A guy who has fields and he has workers and he wants a place to see what's going on, but have shelter and have a dira, he'll do this trick with the tree. But it's not considered a dira, a proper dira. And therefore you have this limit. If it's past Beis Hasayim, it's already not a Rosh Hashanah, and Chazal are going to say it's Asur Tegarian. Mishum David dira shetashmishe la'avir. Since it's a dira that's used for the air, for the outside, the whole dira shetashmishe la'avir, any dira that's used for the outside, you can only carry in it up to a Beis Hasayim. You cannot carry in it Ella, rather only until what size? Beis Hasayim. So that is how we took care of the Ilan Mesach Halaretz. It was made by Hutza V'Dafna, but it's not a regular dira, so therefore it could be it can only be carried in up to Beis Hasayim. Says the Gemara, another question on Rav Acha bar Yaakov. This is our last question and answer, and then we'll stop after this by the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Tashma, I'll bring you right now, Rav Acha bar Yaakov. Also, Hilchah Shabbos here, okay? Hilchah Shabbos. What happened? Shavas, betel. There was a guy, a tail is a mound, a pile, a mound. Shavas, he found himself by Shkia, when it became Shabbos, he was resting, he was sitting on top of a mound. Okay, that's where he found himself. So tomorrow's Erev Shabbos, 4:30 Shkia, he's in his field, he's on top of his mound. Shehu Gavoya Asara, which is high up 10 Tvachim. Okay? He's high up 10 Tvachim. Vuhu me arba amas ad Beis Hasayim. And this mound is either from 4 amas large up to 5,000 square amas. That's how large this mound could be up to. Just take a look at the picture just to get a feeling. This is on page Lamed Dalet. Picture Nun Gimel. So you have this dude. He's no face. He's like no one knows who he is exactly. And he's resting, he's shavas on a tail. He's on top of a mound. And it's 10 tfachim high up. So it's its own rishus. And it's 4 amas large. 4 amas large. Okay? That's where he finds himself on Shabbos. And we're going to say 3 more cases. We'll do it in the pictures. And then we'll go back to the Brayso. We'll do each picture. Or in other cases, the Chen Beneka, which is to the left. Shuhu Amakasar. You have a guy here. He's in a ditch. A neka is a pit, a hole. He's in a hole that's 10 tfachim deep. Okay, and it's 4 amas wide.
What's neka mean?
Neka means a pit or like a hole, a guma, a hole. Or third option is, picture Nun Hey, he's in a harvested field. The field's not harvested, but he's in a patch of field that's harvested, which is 10 tefachim high up are the trees there, or the plants, and 4 amas wide. Okay, those are 3 pictures of a guy who finds himself here when Shabbos starts. And this has to do with the halachas of tchumen. Just a chazer what tchumen are. We all know that a person is only allowed to go a certain amount of amos away from where he is on Shabbos. So if you're on a field when Shabbos starts, you're not in the city, you have 2,000 amos you're allowed to go that way, and 2,000 amos you could go that way. That's all you can go. But how big is your spot? Your spot is 4 amos. Okay, so I have 4 amos. That's every spot of every person has 4 amos. And then I have 2,000 amos beyond that. So I have 2,004 amos. If I'm in Manchester, Pineley Park, so then I'm not getting into the halachas here. You go to the outskirts of the city. That's all part of the cheshbon. And then you have 2,000 amos past the city. Okay, but if you don't live in the city, you're just randomly in a field, you only have your daled amos and then 2,000 amos. That's the halacha of being in a tchum. Here, a guy is stuck on a stone. He's not stuck, that's where he found himself. So all he's able to move, technically, is the area he's in, which is usually daled amos, and then he could go 2,000 amos beyond that. What this mission is going to talk about is the tail, the mound. It could be up to Beis Hasayim, up to 5,000 square amos, and then he has another 2,000 amos from there, which means from 4 amos up till Beis Hasayim, this is an area that's not counted for his tchum, and they'll have an additional 2,000 amos. So again, if you're in a field, all you have is your 4 amos, nothing else. But if you're in your own rishus, you have that whole area. If you're Manchester, you have the whole Pineley Park. If you're on a mound, you have the whole mound. If you're in a ditch, you have the whole ditch. And then you have 2,000 amos. So let's look at the brayso inside. Toshma, Shabbos Betel, the guy found himself on Shabbos. Shabbos means Shabbos started. He found himself on Shabbos, Betel, on a mound. Shehu Gavoya Asara, which is 10 tefachim high up, its own place. V'hu me arba amas Beis Hasayim, and it is up to 4 amas, up till Beis Hasayim. That's how big this tail, this mound could be. V'chei beneka, or he's in a hole. Shehu amak asar, which is 10 tefachim deep. V'hu me arba amas Beis Hasayim, and it's up from either 4 amas up to Beis Hasayim. V'chei, in the third case, kama katsura. Kama means standing grain that was harvested. You have standing grain that was harvested, so this patch of field in the middle is harvested. The shibolos makifa sesa, but you have stalks that were not harvested surrounding it. Okay, what is the halacha in all these 3 cases? Mahalach is kula. You can walk in this entire tail. You can walk in this entire neka. You can walk in this entire area that was harvested, because that's like its own place. V'chutzela, and beyond it, alpayim amma, 2,000 amas. It means you get much more than 4 amas. If you're on a field by yourself, all you have is 4 amas, then another 2,000. But if you're on a rock or you're on a ditch, you get that entire area only for up to Beis Hasayim. It can't be more than Beis Hasayim. Once it's more than Beis Hasayim, then not. We know why. Why can't you have more than Beis Hasayim? Because that's already a Carmelis. This is way too large. It's not a real Rosh Hashanah. It becomes like, it loses its status of Rosh Hashanah. But before Beis Hasayim, it's like a Rosh Hashanah. This whole area. Because it has walls, and there's only one case it doesn't have walls, when you're on the tail, on the mound. The mound, there's no walls, but the rule is something called good asa. Because it's 10 tefachim high up, we look at the mound as if the walls of the mound keep going higher and higher. It means if I'm standing on the shtender, and this is 10 tefachim high, the walls of the shtender are ki'ilu go all the way up. That's what you have. So you have this Omer Shasayachid. The neka is easy because there's a ditch and you have the walls, and you're in the harvested grain, you have the harvested field around you. But you have that area and then 2,000 amas. That area could be from 4 amas up to Beis Hasayim, not past Beis Hasayim, for what we learned earlier, because then it's already a Carmelis. It's not a Rosh Hashanah. Okay? So that's the brayso. The Gemara says the question now, Afagav the cause of Asi. How could you use the kama, the harvested grain, to be your walls here to make a Rosh Hashanah for yourself, if those harvested grains in that picture, they sway in the wind? So you don't have a proper wall. Rav Acha bar Yaakov, you said a rule, any mechitza that sways in the wind is not a mechitza. How could you use the kama katsura Vishiboilus makifa says so. You have these stalks surrounding it. Stalks are moving in the wind, so you don't have a proper Rosh Hashanah here to be able to take the whole area and walk 2,000 amas beyond it. The Gemara says the obvious answer. Hasanamni over there also the overlay behutza v'dafna. The guy, I don't know how he did this right before Shabbos. He quickly weaved the stalks around his little area there and made them very firm that they don't sway in the wind.
How deep
So,
would you have to go? The weeds are just over.
I guess just the beginning ones, just the first ones, yeah. So just the first ones. So if you find yourself ever on a mound on Shabbos and you're like, how far can I carry? What do I do here? So this is the rule. You always have 4 amas, even if you're on the field standing on the ground. You have 4 amas and then 2,000. But if you're on top of a rock or in a cleft, in a neckar or something like that, this is Rosh Hashanah. It's 10 tefachim, walls. It's its own area. You have your own Rosh Hashanah. So you count 2,000 amas beyond Rosh Hashanah. But once you hit base sign, this area is too large, then we can't look at it like Rosh Hashanah. Chazal said this is like a Carmelis, and this whole thing is like you cannot carry here. So all you would have is the 4 amas, and then the 2,000 amas beyond that. Shkoyach. Azatov, you got to the Mishnah.
Can you carry or you can't walk?
You can't walk, but you can't walk past that, yeah.